road the way that you closer distance, but with the same kind of practical detachment. I think that he went beyond the point of no return. No way that he will resume his authority or legitimacy over his people. I don't think that it's a linear process. It's now more than 6 months, but it's probably going to be even a more slippery or steeper slope, because as we see, people within his security services, within his armed forces, within his civil service start to assess what's going to be the end, how to hedge their personal bets about what could happen. And as a result of it, I believe that we see for the first time some cracks appearing in the support that he enjoys within his own arena. And it's clear to me that what happened a few weeks ago to Gaddafi and what might wait now Saif al-Islam, his son, and even the memories of what happened ultimately to Saddam Hussein. But that's refreshing his memory that it's tough. So on one hand, it's causing the cracks to appear. On the other hand, it might drive him to be even more brutal. I think that the world response, especially the Arab League, abandoning him, King Abdullah of Jordan criticizing him publicly, the way that the Turks are pressing more and more, even in public, that these are real signals that there is acceleration toward the end of this regime. Probably next year we want to have a session about Syria, I hope so.
Well, interesting.
Wasn't creating jobs.
Okay, and a question back here.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the Israeli position of toward the Arab Spring, because we've heard lots of discouraging comments during the Egyptian revolution. That was mainly because Israel were concerned about their peace agreement with Egypt. But when the terms come to Syria, whereas, as Dr. Ziad mentioned, there's a huge interest of the West and the Israeli to weaken the relation between Syria and Iran. We've been hearing a lot of comments about if the Assad regime collapses, Israel is going to be in trouble, or the region are going to be in trouble. And that's discouraging lots of countries, and that's pushing lots of Syrians to accuse the Israeli and the American to invest under the table.
Scenario, and if the Assad regime does collapse, there are potentially enormous strategic benefits, are there not, for Israel, in the sense that, if you like, the bridge, both geographically and ideologically or militarily, towards Hezbollah is if not broken, is at least blocked. Is that something that you would concur with, that this is potentially not only a good in terms of humanitarian issues, but it is of potentially strategic importance to Israel, what happens in Syria?
I see it's not, once again, I don't want to overemphasize our role in it. We do not have a role in it, and we are not the only ones who might benefit. First of all, the main benefactor could be the Syrian people. It's 40 years that this family reigns over them like a medieval fiefdom in Italy, somewhere on the mountains. It's an iron fist, extremely brutal. And so it's good for the Syrian people. Secondly, it's good for the Arab world. It clearly might become a blow to the radical axis that stretches what I called once the Shiite banana, goes from Tehran to South Iraq to Damascus to the Hezbollah holding in the Bekaa in South Lebanon. It will damage these radical axes, and they will make them somehow weaker. It will weaken the Hezbollah, it will weaken Hamas. In this regard, it's good, but it's good not just for Israel. I believe it's good for the Middle East as a whole.
Moving now on to the Iranian question
Of the Assad regime. Thank you.
Anyone have any thoughts?
I think that's directed to the Israeli officials, but I can say that maybe at the beginning, the Israeli position, they are some concern about the instability in Syria and what will lead. Now we are hearing some positive reactions from some Israeli officials about. Now we are hearing some positive reactions from some Israeli officials about that. The main question right now, actually, which the previous panel touched it, is not responsibility to protect, responsibility to prevent.